The Boston Bruins' historic President's Trophy winning season ends in the first round. After going up 3-1 in the series against the Florida Panthers, and after leading the Panthers with less than a minute left in Game 7, they went on to blow both and be left heartbroken at the hands of Carter Verhaeghe in overtime. This is truly a crushing defeat for Boston, perhaps the worst playoff loss this city has had since the 16-0 Patriots. To have such a great season and a date with Lord Stanley seemingly inevitable, only to not even get the joy of a series win, is truly a knife in the heart. And to any Bruins fans that may be watching this video, all I have to say is, from the bottom of my heart, rest in peace, bozo. Y'all have been on top of the sports world for long enough. It is long overdue for you to pay taxes for the championships your teams had won since the turn of the millennium. From the Patriots' 6 Super Bowls to the Red Sox's 4 World Series to the Celtics and Bruins championships in 2008 and 2011 respectively, y'all have had too much to enjoy and must learn to feel pain again. And while this may not be where payment started, I personally think it started with the Titans beating the Patriots in that wildcard game, it is still a real doozy of a choke. The President's Trophy curse continues for another year with this beauty of a crumble. The most hilarious victim of the curse since the Lightning's embarrassing sweep in 2019 to the Blue Jackets. Actually, no, it's worse than that, because even though getting swept in the first round by a team that had never won a playoff series in its entire existence at that point when you're supposed to be the best team in the NHL is hilarious, the Lightning were practically dead after Game 1. At no point after that first game did they have a lead, and they were nowhere close to winning that series. But the Bruins, they had this series won. They had a 3-1 series lead against the Panthers. And in games 5, 6, and 7, they had plenty of opportunities to finish the Panthers, and they failed each and every time. Speaking of which, how about we take a quick peek at those games, shall we? Game 5, the Boston Bruins have a 3-1 stranglehold on the series, and I just feel like I have to emphasize that it was 3-1. All the Bruins have to do now is not do the thing they did once in the regular season, which is lose 3 in a row. Seems easy enough, but the Panthers aren't gonna go down without a fight as they keep the Bruins from leading at any point in the 3 periods. But for every goal the Panthers had in this game, the Bruins had an answer, including this goal by the returning Patrice Bergeron. With the game tied 3-3, regulation ends with a Brad Marchand breakaway that could have ended the series right then and there if it made it in the net. I felt like mentioning that for no real reason in particular. I don't know why, I just felt like mentioning that there was a breakaway that could have ended the series in 5 for the Bruins. I just felt like that was something to mention. The game is going into overtime, and luckily for the Bruins, the Panthers have probably used up all of their luck points on that final save. So Boston can let out a sigh of relief, as surely the Florida Panthers will not be getting lucky a second. Oh my god, they got lucky a second time. Linus Ullmark, this peanut name-having motherfucker, has a brutal giveaway in overtime that leads to Matthew Tkachuk scoring the game-winning goal. That's the same guy that tried to fight Ullmark in Game 4, by the way. Okay, that was definitely not a good way to lose a game, but it's fine. It was only one game, and the Bruins are still up 3-2. Just brush it off and win Game 6. In the meantime, I'm gonna go camping. Hopefully, I see Yuniyama Aoi from the camping anime, best girl in that anime. Debate me all you want, you're wrong. See you after the time card. Turns out she's not even real. I'm fucking heartbroken. Let's see how the Bruins did while I was away. Ooh, 5 goals. Oh, hell yeah. That's great. Except, you know, the Panthers, they scored more than that. So you still lost. Jim Montgomery, Mr. Jimmy Boy, Jimmy Monty Python. Can I talk to you for a second? You know, I just got something to ask. No, look at me when I'm talking to you. I've got to ask, why was Linus out there? I mean, yeah, he's a great goaltender, and yeah, he's probably winning the Vezina trophy, but he was apparently dealing with an injury throughout the entire series. And you have this other goaltender named Jeremy Swayman, who is also great, and more importantly, is not dealing with an injury. So why did you choose the hurt guy over the hurtant guy? Even if you genuinely believed it was just muscle tightening, you should have had Swayman out there the second it became clear Linus was not at 100%. But that aside, the Panthers have staved off elimination twice and forced a Game 7. Okay, the Bruins were up 3-1 and now they are entering a Game 7. Okay, that's bad. That's pretty bad. But don't be calling the Bruins chokers just yet, because a decade ago they had a different 3-1 series lead against the Maple Maple Leafs that also went into overtime, and I don't think a single Leafs fan wants to remember what happened in that Game 7. And the Bruins that year did not have a historic 65 wins and 135 points, so this year's Bruins can surely do what that year's Bruins did. So Game 7, the switch from Linus to Swayman is finally made. It is time to prevent Florida from having a single hockey game in the month of May. But they're off to a bad start as Florida scores first in the first and then very early in the second scores another off a Bruins turnover to give the Cat Girls a 2-0 lead. Which, oh yeah, I guess this is a good time to mention, Boston had a lot of turnovers, Bruins and Celtics. Remember that Linus giveaway in Game 5? That was only one of many turnovers by the Bruins, and there were so many. And unfortunately for the Bruins, those turnovers did not just randomly magically stop happening in Game 7. They gave so many pucks away, you'd think the Bruins mistook them for trading cards. But none of that matters. Absolutely none of it matters, because not only did the Bruins tie it in the third, but they also took the lead in the third. You really thought the Bruins were gonna choke this series away, didn't you? Oh, no, you are so foolish. Those last two games, they were flukes. The Bruins are the better team. They are the team that will emerge victorious. Entering a minute left in regulation, and the Bruins have kept the lead intact. All they have to do is hold on for a little longer, and they will be victorious. Holding the fort for one more minute is like walking a cake in the park for this team. They are going to be parking walks of cake. They are going to survive. They are going to win the series. They are going to the next round. They are fucking pathetic. 65 wins and you can't even win 4 against a fucking wildcard team, you useless sacks of shit. The game goes into overtime, and for the second year in a row, Verhaeghe scores the series winner to send the Panthers to the next round, and the rest is, well, you know. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire, suffering succotash, that was fucking embarrassing. I think it's fair to say the Boston Bruins had perhaps the greatest choke in NHL history. That time they got reverse swept by the Flyers, that is somehow pussy shit compared to this. What makes this such an awful choke is not that they lost in the first round as the President's Trophy winner, it's not that they blew a 3-1 series lead, it's not that they gave up a game-tying goal with a minute left in regulation, and it's not even that they lost to a team with 43 less points than them. What makes this such an awful choke is that they did all of that and more. Remember when the Golden State Warriors blew that 3-1 series lead in the finals in their only loss to the Cavaliers in their 4 straight finals matchups? Well, imagine if instead of the finals, they blew that series lead in the first round to the Houston Rockets. That's what the Bruins did. And somehow it gets even worse, because you know who did make it past the first round? The fucking Maple Leafs. The team that lost 5 straight winner-take-all games in the first round, including 2 against the Bruins and blowing their own 3-1 series lead, did what the 65-game winning Bruins couldn't. It was so bad that even Skittles took a jab at the Bruins. They got roasted by a chocolateless M&M. You have become a joke, and you are going to be a joke for at least the rest of the offseason. And unlike the Lightning in 2019, I don't think the Bruins are going to be winning back-to-back cups in the next 2 years. Their core is older than Moses. And speaking of the Lightning, I'm going to finish this video with a fun fact. The team that swept the Lightning that year was the Columbus Blue Jackets, and their goaltender was Sergei Bobrovsky. The Panthers goaltender in games 1, 2, and most of game 3 was Alex Lyon, but late in the third game, Paul Maurice switched to a different goaltender who would go on to play for the rest of the series. The goaltender he switched to was Sergei Bobrovsky. So I guess the moral of the story is, if you want to pull off an upset against a team that had won 60 plus games in the regular season, hire Bubtitsky.
And I hear this calling. Still you don't see so far at all. And I hear this calling.